Hello all, welcome to the video lecture series on computer communication networks. In today's video, we shall be discussing the introduction to the computer communication networks. So this particular video lecture, we shall be discussing the basic data communication components, the different data representations, the data flow mechanisms. Then we shall be discussing the network physical structures. Followed by that, we will be discussing the different network types. And once the network types has been discussed, next we shall be discussing the switching. And finally, one of the key applications and key outcome of data communication and networks or computer communication network is in terms of internet. So we will be having overview of internet in the subsequent section. So coming to data communication. So data communication and networking over the years have been changed the ways we look into the definition of communication. It has been part of our day-to-day livelihood in terms of the way we do different businesses, the way we live, the way we embrace the technologies that are present, the way we communicate with the nature, or with the way we communicate with others, and the way we interpret, understand the things that are happening around. So all of this are because of the advances in data communication and networking. If we take a pretty much simpler example, over the years, the information sharing between two persons who are separated by lakhs together of distances is no matter a big challenge today. That is primarily because of the advances that has taken over, and the computer communication networks that has impacted this particular growth. So majority of the times it requires an immediate access to the accurate informations to have a proper communication, as well as to take a few decisions in day-to-day life. So sometimes when earlier days, when the computer communication networks were not there, that is, this communication network was not into the action, in order to have a business report, or in order to have a research report that is happening in one continent or one country, in order to reach that, in order to procure that particular information, we had to wait for the physical copy of the report to reach in the particular place. So only means of communication, or only means of information exchange, was through the transport, which was dependent on the transport. But now, with the invent of different technologies and the advances in computer communication network, within a single click one can send that particular information from one continent to the another continent without any hesitations, or without any delay that is involved. So overall, the data communication and networking have found their way not just into the specific aspect of technologies, but to our livelihood in terms of personal communications also. And they find applications in many business related issues, social issues, health issues, medical issues. And people now have found a way to communicate with other people in the world, to express the social and political opinions, as well as to discuss them, to come to a common opinion. And different communities in the world are no more isolated because of the communication networks and the computer communications. So in this particular module, or in this particular video lecture, we shall be first discussing what is data, followed by that what is data communication, and with relation to it we shall discuss what are the different necessary components of a data communication system, and the different types of data that is being exchanged over the communication network. And we also consider how exactly the given set of data could be represented and how it flows in the network. And in the second section we shall be discussing the second part of the term, that is networks. We shall be defining what is a network, the different criterions that need to be taken into consideration in designing a network, different types of structures that are present in a network, wherein we will discuss 4 different network topologies which are prevalent in application. And in the third section we discuss the type of the networks in terms of local area networks and wide area networks. And also we shall discuss inter networks, that is the communication between 2 different types of networks. Then in the last section we shall discuss what is internet, what is the how exactly the largest internet in the world has been spanned, what are the different levels. And in order to understand that, we need a bit of backup from the concept of switching to understand how exactly the small networks can be combined to form a larger network. So first we shall discuss the data communication. So coming to data communication, first we need to define what is communication. So whenever we use the term communicate, that clearly means we are sharing information. So the information could be shared in any of the formats. It could be a speech signal, it could be just gestures that could give a sense of what exactly been interpreted. So thus when we use the term communication, that clearly means we are sharing information. So the term sharing of the information could be overviewed as a local sharing or a remote sharing. When we use the term local sharing, that clearly means the communication is happening face to face. That means the two communicating entities are facing each other and they are communicating. So one could clearly see or interpret what exactly has been communicated to him. When it comes to the concept of remote information sharing, here the communication is happening over a specific distance. So in order to represent this remote information sharing, we use the term telecommunication. So here the telecommunication means information sharing or the communication over a particular distance that is taken into consideration. So this leads to this needs to the usage of very familiar terms such as telephony, telegraphy and television. So that clearly means all of this has one thing in common, that is distance. So the communication exchange or the information exchange is happening over a particular distance. So tele is a Greek word which has the meaning of far. So next we shall discuss the word data. So now that we have defined communication, next we need to define what is data. Here the data refers to the information that is presented in whatever form that is agreed upon by the parties, those who are creating it and using the data. So why exactly are we specifically using the term whatever form that is agreed upon by the parties which are creating and using the data? So here the data that is being communicated has to be delivered in meaningful manner. If a person is speaking something to a other person, if other person is not understanding what exactly has been spoke, then that could not be called as a communication, because there is no meaningful exchange of the information. So thus both of these communicating parties first has to agree upon the type of the data or the form of the data that could be exchanged. For example, if I say I can speak only English, then other person to whom I'm speaking should also know English. Only then whatever is spoken by me, he can understand. If he cannot understand English, whatever I'm speaking in English, that will not make any sense to that person. So thus, while defining data, we have to take into consideration the term agreed upon by the parties creating and using that particular data. So data is nothing but the information that is presented in whatever format which is agreed upon by the parties who are creating and using that particular data. So now we will define data communication. So we will combine the communication part as well as the data part now. So we can say that data communication is exchange of the data between two devices via some form of the transmission media, which could be a wired cable or it could be a wireless medium. So thus here it combines both the definitions from data as well as the communication. So it is exchange of data. That clearly means that data is nothing but interpretation of information in a specific format which is agreed upon by the two communicating devices, which is exchanged between the two entities using a transmission medium. So we are generalizing this term transmission medium just because the communication may happen local or it may happen remote. But since we are looking into the wider angle of application, we are defining this as the exchange of data between two devices using some sort of the transmission media, which is called as a which could be a wired cable or which could be a wireless medium. So for data communications to occur, we need the communicating devices that need to be part of the communication system. So these communication systems are typically built, or devices which are typically made up of hardware components as well as software components, where hardware components are the physical equipments which are required to process the data, and software part is nothing but collection of different programs which shall ensure the meaningful exchange of the information. So the effective of data communication typically depends on four fundamental characteristics. We shall discuss that one by one. First one is the delivery. Any system, any communication system which is part of this data communication, which is part of the data communication, should deliver the data to the correct intended destination. So thus, the data that is received at the intended device or the user are only by the specific destination that is specified by the sender. So the data communication should ensure the accurate and correct delivery of the data. So second, we have accuracy. Here the system should ensure the data accurately. Accurately means whatever has been sent by the sender has to be received by the receiver as it is. So the data should not be altered during the transmission, and if it is altered, then it has to be corrected in some ways so that it becomes usable. If the data is altered and uncorrected, then it will become inaccurate, so it is unusable. Next is timeliness of the transmission. So the system should deliver the data in the timely manner. So each of the communication that is happening in day-to-day life are bound by time. So whatever data has been sent, that has to reach the intended destination within a specific amount of time. If the data is delivered late, there are high chances that that particular data may be useless. Typically in the cases of transmission of information in terms of audio or video, The timely delivery of the data means the delivery of the data as they are produced and in the same order that they are produced without any significant delay. If there is mismatch with respect to audio and the video content, then exactly one cannot uh, extract the meaningful information from the video signal that is being received. So this kind of timely exchange of the information is called as real-time transmission. And the last factor or the last characteristic of effective data communication system is referred as jitter, where jitter refers to variations in the packet arrival time. Because of various reasons, because of physical as well as electric characteristics of the different components that we are making use of, there might be uneven delay in the delivery of audio or video packets. For example, if the video packets are sent every 30 milliseconds, some of the packets may reach with 30 milliseconds delay and others may reach with 40 milliseconds delay. So this will cause uneven quality of the quality during the video signal perceptions. So thus this jitter amount accounts for the variations in the packet arrival time, will account for the overall quality of the signal that is being received. So these are the four fundamental characteristics of the data communication system's effectiveness. Next, we shall discuss the different components that will build up the communication systems. So, most basic and fundamental part of it, the data communication system has 5 components. Let us look at one of that one by one. First one is sender. Sender is a device which sends the actual data message. So here the sender could be a computer, it could be a telephone handset, it could be workstation, it could be a microphone, it could be a video camera, and so on. So sender is one who is generating or creating that particular data. Then we have a receiver. So receiver is a intended destination. Once again, it is a device which is receiving the message. So as same as that of sender, a receiver could be a computer, it could be a workstation, it could be a telephone handset, or it could be a television, or it could be a speaker, and so on. So these sender and receiver are connected by a transmission medium, by means of a transmission medium, which is a physical path or physical connection which will connect the sender as well as the receiver, in which the message will travel from sender to the receiver. There are various types of transmission mediums that are present in terms of wired or wireless. In case of wired transmission media, we have options such as twisted pair cable, we have coaxial cable, we have optical fiber cable. When it comes to wireless communication, the communication happens by means of the radio waves. Then we have a message. Message typically is a data or the information that has to be communicated. Most prevalent types of the data informations include textual information, numeric information, pictorial information, that is pictures, you have audio signals, audio information, or you have video information. So information could be, the message could be anything which will interpret some information with it. Then we have protocol. Protocol is nothing but it is a set of rules which will overlook or which will govern the data communication that is happening between sender and receiver, and both have been agreed upon this particular set of rules. So protocol represents the agreement between the communicating devices. So without any protocol, the two devices may be connected but they cannot communicate. If there are no protocols, it is very sure that sender and receivers are connected but they cannot communicate. So the same example as I have already given, if I'm speaking English, the other person cannot understand English means even though we are connected, the communication is not happening. First, we need to agree upon the language of understanding. Only then the communication can have meaningful impact. So this gives you the overview of the fundamental blocks that are required for the data communication system. Next, discuss the data representation. So as I have told, the message or the which is information could be represented in any format such as text, numbers, pictures, audio and video. So these representation of the information is called as data representation. We shall look into it one by one. First one is the text data. So in data communication, the text is represented by a bit pattern. So bits, each individual text will be represented by a bit pattern, and the sequence of bits, which is nothing but the combinations of zeros and ones, will be mapped into a codes. That means each individual bit pattern, the set of bit patterns are represented by a text symbols. For each individual text symbols, we will be having a bit pattern, and each of this set of bit patterns is referred as codes. And the process of representing a text symbol by bit patterns are called as coding. So one of the very famous and prevalent coding system that is used in day to day is Unicode, in which each text symbol or the character is represented by 32 bits. So for any language that you take in the world, any language that is been used for the information exchange, each of this information when represented in textual format are represented using Unicode system, wherein each language symbol or a character is represented using 32 bits. And another coding system which is very oftenly used is ASCII, which abbreviates for American Standard Code for Information Interchange, which has been developed decades ago, which now has around 127 characters, which are referred as which is been extended, which is an extended version of the Unicode, in which the first 127 characters will cover the basic characters and as well as symbols from the English language, which is also referred as the basic Latin. So many of the communication systems such as computers and all computers and the smartphones, whatever we make use in day-to-day life, each of the character set that we are communicating, each of the information that is being exchanged is represented using ASCII character sets. Second, we have numbers. So your data or the information could be a number. Here also the numbers are represented by bit patterns, but we are not using any coding system here. So we are not representing any number by the coding principle or coding method. So thus we don't require any ASCII codes here. Instead, the number is directly converted into binary in order to represent the data as well as to perform the mathematical operations that we take into consideration. So the next form of data is images. Here also the images are represented by bit patterns. In its simple format, one can call image is said to be image is said to be represented using a matrix of pixels. where pixel is the smallest picture element that could be measured, and the size of the pixel will give you measures in terms of resolution. For example, if an image is split into 1000 by 1000 pixels, then its resolution is said to be dependent on the number of rows and number of columns. We refer that as the resolution of the image. Same image could be represented using 1000 pixels, or it could be represented in 10,000 pixels. What is the basic difference? For example, if the image is represented using just the 1000 pixels, and if we compare the quality of that particular signal with respect to the picture with represented with 10,000 pixels, 10,000 pixels will be having a greater quality or good quality compared to 1000 pixels. So typically one could conclude saying that more pixels, or the higher is the resolution, better is the quality of the image. So once the image is divided into pixels, each individual pixel will be allotted or will be assigned a bit pattern, and the size and value of the bit pattern depends on type of the image that we are taking into consideration. If we consider a black and white image, then we have only two colors. So the number of bits that are required to represent these black and white colors are only two. 0 means black, 1 is a white pixel. So thus it will require a smaller value of bits to represent the information. So thus only one bit is required to represent any of the bit pixels. But as we go on increasing the number of gray levels that we need to represent, for example, if you want to have four colors or 4 shades of black and white, then we require 2 power 2. That is, you require 2 bits to represent a pixel value. Then you have black, lighter white, and complete white. Clear? So in this way you get 4 variants of the black and white color. This is called as a gray level image. And once again, in order to we can represent the image using colors also. So one of the very famous and very oftenly used method is RGB method, which is in which each color is said to be made up of combination of 3 colors, 3 fundamental colors, that is red, green and blue. So these are referred as primary colors. In order to measure the intensity of any color, one has to consider the value, the contribution of red, green and blue. So dependent on that, each individual pixel will be having a intensity value, and that intensity, very specific intensity of a color, is represented by a bit pattern that is assigned to it. And one more scheme or one more method to represent a color image is using YCM. Once again, it is a color scheme which is said to be having 3 primary colors such as yellow, cyan and magenta. And the next form of data that we take into consideration is audio signal. Here audio refers to recording or broadcasting of sound or music, that is speech or music signal. So compared to all the other 3 data that forms that we have considered, audio signal is continuous in nature. It is not discrete. That means the pitch, the amplitude varies continuously with respect to time. But this is not true with respect to text, numbers or images. They remain constant or they remain discrete. So thus, whenever we make use of microphone, in order to change the voice or music, we make use of different physical devices that will translate this physical signal, the speech or the audio signal or the music signal, into the electrical signal format. One of the very common device that we make use is a microphone, which converts audio or sound or music into a electric signal, so which typically will be a continuous time signal. Finally, we have video. Here, the video data form means that it refers to the recording and broadcasting of pictures or a movie. So thus, here video could be represented in either discrete format as moving pictures. That means I'll continuously change the pictures, that will give a notion of motion, which will give a feel of motion if the images are changed very fastly, or it could be a continuous quantity when we are trying to record the information, trying to record the video signal using a camera. In that case, it could be a continuous entity. Sometimes it could be a discrete, in terms of discrete quantity, wherein we have moving pictures which will convey the idea of motion. So these are the different data types or data forms that are represented. We have 5 basic fundamental forms, that are text, numbers, images, audio and video. Next we shall discuss, now that we have defined data communication, data, how exactly these data flows in the network. What are the different ways in which the data can move from source to the destination. So first form in which the communication between two devices can happen is simplex. We have 3 formats, 3 forms, that is simplex, half duplex and full duplex. Let us look into each one of that individually. First one is simplex. In simplex mode, the communication is said to be unidirectional. That is, we can say it as one-way traffic. Means the information can be only sent by one device and it could be only received by one device. The sender cannot receive and a receiver cannot send. So that is why the communication is said to be unidirectional. So there are 2 devices on the link. Link is the physical medium which is connecting the 2 end devices. Here only one can send and others can only receive. So typical examples in real time, if you want to take, are the keyboards that we take into consideration. Keyboards can send only information to CPU. In turn, keyboard cannot receive the informations from the CPU. And monitor is also follows the simplex mode of communication, as it can only receive. It cannot send anything back to the CPU. So thus, in simplex mode, the entire capacity of the channel is used to send data in only one direction. That is what I have shown. So the entire capacity of this particular channel is being made use by the one sender that we are taking into consideration. The second type of data flow is in terms of half duplex. Here each station is capable of sending as well as receiving, or transmitting as well as receiving, but not simultaneously. At any given instant of time, he can either transmit or he can receive. He cannot do both the operation simultaneously. In other terms, if one is sending, other can only receive, and vice versa. So that is interpreted by this particular diagram. At given time 1, the data is moving from this end to this end. So this can only send at time 1 and this can only receive at time 1. So half duplex is like a single line road with the traffic allowed in the both directions. But when the cars are moving in one direction, the cars going in the other direction has to wait. It is a single line road. At the alternating timing intervals, the vehicles are allowed to move. When the cars are moving in one direction, the cars that are coming in the other direction has to wait. So thus, in half duplex communication or mode of communication, the entire capacity of the channel is taken over by whichever the device which is transmitting at that particular instant of time. So the entire capacity of the channel is being utilized by one device which is transmitting. So typical examples are walkie-talkie that we take into consideration, wherein or the common citizen band radios that we consider are half-wave duplex system, wherein in walkie-talkie when one is speaking something, other has to listen, and once this particular person is done with his commands, then others can speak, other end person can speak. So half duplex mode is typically used in the applications or the scenarios wherein there is no need of communication is required in the both the directions at simultaneously. So thus the entire capacity of the channel is being utilized in the each direction. So at other instant of time, that is at time t2, this particular station is sending and he will be receiving. So each of the station has capability of sending and receiving, but not simultaneously. At any given instant of time, a station can send only after the send is complete, he can perform the receive operation. He cannot perform send and receive simultaneously. And the last case or last form, which is called as the data flow, which is referred to as the full duplex mode. Here both the stations are capable of sending and receiving at all instant of time, that is simultaneously. So the full duplex mode is more like the two-way street with separate lines that are provided for movement of vehicles in a one particular direction. So thus, since there are two separate lines that are present for the communication, in one line the cars are moving in one direction or the vehicles are moving in one direction, in the other line the vehicles can be moving in the opposite direction. So thus the signals going in one direction here will share the capacity of the link with the signals going in the other direction. So in one direction, if one signal is going, and in the other direction, in the opposite direction, I have another signal, then the entire capacity of the channel is divided into two parts, and one will be used for forward direction and other will be used for the reverse direction. So this type of sharing can occur in two ways, in which there might be two different or two physically separate transmission paths may be there, one for transmitting and one for receiving, or the channel capacity has been divided between the transmitting signal and the receiving signal in both the direction. One of the very common example of full duplex communication is the telephone network, wherein both person who are on the line can speak as well as they can listen. So thus when they are communicating over telephone line, they can talk as well as listen at the same time. So the full duplex mode communication is used when both the directions are required for all the time. So here the channel capacity has to be divided between the two different signals that are flowing in the opposite directions. So with this, now we can discuss the next part, that is network. As the name itself defines, or as the name itself sounds, network means it is the combination of something or the interconnection of something. So coming to the communication networks, network is interconnection of set of devices which are capable of communication, wherein each individual device can be a host, which is also termed as end systems. So each of this host can be a computer, can be a laptop, can be a desktop, it could be a workstation, it could be a cell phone, or it could be any security system. So any system which is capable of communicating is said to be a host. So when I defined network, it is said to be interconnection of set of devices which are capable of communication. And this set of devices can have two different roles. One, it could act as a host or it could act as a connecting device. The host is nothing but an end system, which could be a computer, which could be a desktop, which could be a laptop, which could be a workstation, which could be a cell phone. But when it comes to the second one, that is connecting device is an entity which connects these communicating devices. So there are different types of communicating devices that are connecting devices that are possible or that are present in terms of routers, which connects to different networks, or it could be a switch which connects to different devices, or it could be a modem which performs the operation of modulation and demodulation, which changes the different set of forms of the data, and so on. So each of these devices that could be a host or a connecting devices could be connected by making use of the transmission medium, which could be a wired medium or a wireless medium. So when two computers are connected, so we can say that there is a small network that is being formed. Whenever two separate or two different networks are said to be connected, then we can say that there is a network that is being formed. Now let us look into the different criteria to be considered while configuring or while creating a network. The three different parameters that has to be considered are performance, reliability, and security. So the performance of a network can be measured in many ways, which depends majorly on different number of factors, which could be such as the number of users that are present in the network, the size of the network, the type of the transmission medium that is considered, and the capabilities of the different hardwares that are used, and the overall efficiency of the software that is being used. So few of the performance metrics that are considered are the transit time and response time. Here the transit time is nothing but the amount of time that is required for the message to travel from one device to the another device, wherein the response time is the time required for a message to travel from one device to the another device. So response time typically is the elapsed time between the inquiry and the response. So other performance metrics that could be considered are in terms of throughput and delay, where throughput is nothing but the number of messages we could consider in this particular case in terms of packets. If you define the number of packets that are delivered per unit time, delay is nothing but the amount of time that is consumed in the transmission of the data packet from source to the destination. So both of this are contradictory in nature. If somebody want to send more data to the network, that clearly means he has to increase the throughput. So increase in the throughput will somewhere impose the delay on the data delivery. If somebody is trying, because of the traffic congestion that is present in the network, so all of these factors are interconnected. This overall performance of the network, basically the different metrics that we need to consider depends on the various parameters, such as the size of the network, the communication medium or the transmission medium that is being used, the abilities of the hardware as well as the software components that is being put into action in the network. The second criteria is reliability. Along with the accuracy and delivery, network reliability is one of the key factor, which is measured by the frequency of the failure and the time it takes the link to recover from the failure. So since the system is said to be built using hardware components as well as software components, because of multiple reasons, the device may go down or the software may hang. Because of that, one has to build a system which is reliable. So the reliability of a network could be measured in terms of frequency of failures that are occurring and amount of time that it takes to recover from the failure uh, in case of the network catastrophe conditions. And the third criterion that is taken into consideration is security. So the network security majorly deals with the concern of protection of the data from unauthorized access and the protection of the data from alterations, the damage, and the development. So the network has to build or implement the different policies and mechanisms which are required to overcome the data losses or the data breaches that are happening over a particular set of time. So in today's class, we have defined data communication and we have discussed the components of communication systems and the different types of data representation and data flow. So in the next class, we shall be defining the physical structures that are involved in networks, the different types of networks, and internet. So myself, Abhilash KJ. So for more videos on the computer communication networks and uh, cryptography, visit my YouTube channel and please like, follow and subscribe for the contents to come.